Central, again, they've lost 2 of their last 3. Of course, they beat John Battle 56-34 to get to sort of right their ship. Eastside all over Ryco 53-16. J.I. Burton continuing to get better. They knocked off Honaker 54-7. Richlands 41-0 over Tazewell. Tazewell played without their top 2 running backs and one of their top 2 receivers. And again, the Blue Tornadoes, they are now 3-3. Union in the game of the night in Southwest Virginia knocked off Ridgeview. They had a 23-6 lead. Ridgeview did claw back a little bit towards the end, but Union knocked off Ridgeview. They closed the gap on the top-seeded Ridgeview Wolfpack. It's down to less than it's 19 tenths of a point now between the top 2 teams.
I wonder also, though, has Union published the book on how to shut down Ridgeview?
Well, that's Gate City had a great plan. Atkins really had no big runs in the first half against the Blue Devils. He got kind of loose in the second half as, of course, he had 2 interceptions, which was ill-timed. And, as we know that when it starts to roll bad, it can roll bad. And that ball game, and Atkins got most of his yards in the third and fourth quarter. So, wouldn't be surprised to see Ridgeview again in a playoff scenario because as of Monday, the newest playoff rankings, Ridgeview still holds the number 1 seed, but Union has closed. Again, 19 tenths of a point as they are sitting as the number 2. Richlands has moved all the way up to number 3. Graham sits at 4. Tazewell is number 5. Wise Central at number 6. Our Blue Devils have moved up to number 7. Over the last couple weeks, we started off at 11 in terms of PowerPoint ratings. We're up to a 15.15. So, again, we're starting to climb up. Again, we're starting to see if we can catch Wise Central and Tazewell at the 5 and 6. Marion is the number 8 seed right now if the playoffs were to start. John Battle is 9th. 10th is Virginia High. Lehigh at 11th, and Lebanon is number 12. As I mentioned with Coach Housewright just a few minutes ago, did some calculations. We actually could end Lehigh's playoff hopes with a win and a couple of losses, a couple of things work out in the region because, again, their very best they could come up as 3-7. Gate City strength of schedule would be more than that. Of course, Marion, a couple of things has to go right for them. So, we're starting to get to the point of the season where we can start talking about possibly mathematically eliminating a couple of teams and, again, assuring ourselves of a dance in December, hopefully.
Well, I should tell you what jumps out at me, and I hate to play the coulda, woulda, shoulda game because if ifs and buts, candy nuts and all that. But Union sitting second right now, and Gate City basically beat them 3 quarters.
Yep.
Richland sitting third, Gate City did beat them.
Mm-hmm.
So if the ball bounced the other direction a time or two, Gate City could be looking at sitting second or third right now in the conference.
Well, and of course, Union is undefeated in the Mountain 7. Abington is still also undefeated. A lot of power points between those top 3 teams will still continue. Again, we want Richlands to win out. Again, to be a 7-3 team, that would help us overall. So as we look in the 1D division, Patrick Henry still maintains the number 1 spot. Thomas Walker up to number 2, drops Chilhowie to number 3 overall. Castlewood with their win, they are now 4th. J.I. Burton at number 5. Again, Castlewood and J.I. Burton, both from the Cumberland. Be interested to see how that plays out the rest of the season. Hurley at number 6, and I don't think anybody wants to see the Rebels. They're physical, they run hard, and again, they will be a tough out from the Black Diamond District at number 6. Grundy is number 7. Holston, even though with their up and down season at 3-3, they're number 8. Then it kind of gets a little bit murky with Rural Retreat, Honaker, Twin Springs as 9, 10, and 11. Eastside, Rye Cove, Twin Valley, and Northwood. That rounds out the top 15. Things going to hurt Twin Springs and Rye Cove getting those forfeits. They don't have opportunity to gain extra points because they got the win, but they didn't get anything additionally.
So I know Rye Cove was trying to schedule another game somewhere. They've not been able to work that out that you've heard?
Nope, because they're the weeks that they were playing.
So they're booked the rest of the season
yeah,
then?
because their open week was last was last week, and then that was the opening game of the season. So there's no opportunities for them to be able to reschedule, and Twin Springs is the same thing. So that could end up ultimately hurting the other two Scott County teams. But talking about celebrating Scott County sports, the Farm Bureau is having a tailgate this Friday from 11 till 2 at their location, 1378 West Jackson Street. They are, again, all three county teams are at home. Rye Cove, Twin Springs, and Gate City. Farm Bureau usually does something like this every fall, and we would want to say thank you to them. Again, they are one of our sponsors. They also sponsor our mobile app that a lot of you all listen to our games. So I want to say thank you to them. But go out and check. They've got free food. They've got giveaways.
I've heard the hot dogs are supposed to be amazing.
They are supposed to be amazing. Give away some Yeti coolers and things like that. They've got some great prizes. Again, that will be at West Jackson Street location from 11 to 2 this Friday. Again, 11 to 2. Make plans to go by and say hello to them, and again, thank them for all that they do for us. So with that, we'll take another break. We'll come back. We've got Tweet It or Delete It. Mr. Carr, we'll see what his thoughts are on a few topics from around the world of sports. We'll talk a little bit about Lehigh, and again, like I said, we'll get you ready for a great night of football coming up less than 48 hours away. Again, you're listening to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
2 out of every 3 people will need an assisted living community at some point in their life. We here at Elmcroft of Johnson City want to help to guide you through the process and decisions and believe in you as a person, not as a number. If you do have questions and want to be treated with the value you deserve, we invite you to call or come to our location for a free, no-obligation tour and meal. To schedule a tour, call us today at 423-282-0280. That's 423-282-0280. We are located at 406 East Mountain View Road in Johnson City. You can check us out on the web at elmcroft.com. Elmcroft of Johnson City is an Eclipse senior living community. Whether you're headed out to the game or if you're looking for something great to eat, stop by and see your friends at the Campus Drive-In just down the road from Gate City High School on Kane Street. They have a tremendous selection of breakfast, lunch, and dinner items, and they're open 7 days a week. Campus Drive-In has supported Blue Devil Sports for over 60 years, and once again, they are the proud sponsors of our halftime show here on Gate City Sports Radio. Please follow them on Facebook and place your call-in orders by dialing 276-386-3702. Again, that's 276-386-3702.
You are listening to the home of Blue Devil Sports. This is Gate City Sports Radio.
All right, back here live from the Campus Drive-In on Kane Street. According to Chris, we're only how many yards away?
528, I believe it was.
Are you sure we're that far?
No,
Okay.
because my math is usually horrible, but that's what I came up with spur of the moment.
We'll have to get Miss Kaylee Berry back here from the academic team to double-check our math on that.
And Google may be a little off also.
Yes, indeed. Well, it typically is. But anyway, do want to say thank you again to everybody for making us a part of their Wednesday night. It's been a great night. You know, Chris, just initially when we're talking to the players, what are some of the takeaways, you know, talking about Lehigh and as well as the big ball game with Marion?
I noticed they seemed a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
Getting that second win, doubles their wins from last year. I think it's taken a lot of pressure off of them. I think they were starting to maybe feel a little antsy about things, and I think that win, just from a mental standpoint last week, was huge. I know I was talking to some friends of mine. I told them I mentioned their names, Joel and Carrie Bowman, right before the game. They were in here getting him a – you want to guess what Carrie was getting? A campus cheeseburger. With onion rings.
With onion rings?
With onion rings.
All
but
right.
They were asking me about this week, and they hadn't been to a game yet. I think Carrie graduated in 92, but she said that she'd been hearing a lot of good things about the team, and the boys just seem to have a little extra pep in their step tonight.
Well, and yeah, you have to.
As well they should.
you have to feel good for them. Again, they went through probably considered one of the toughest schedules in 2A or in the 2A division in the VHSL, and they've come through it pretty healthy. Starting to get some guys back. If we can peak at the right time again, I don't think there'll be an easy out when it comes playoff time. So, all right. So, yes, folks, you've won it, you've asked for it, and it's coming. Each week we pose several questions or statements for Mr. Carr to either consider to tweet out as fact or, after writing it, would delete it as something that he doesn't fully believe. This is tweet it or delete it. 5 things, and here we go. First thing is, Mr. Carr, generally the officiating in most major sports from the pros to high school level is not as good as in the past. Would you tweet that or as fact, or would you delete that?
Tweet it.
Tweet it. Oh.
It seems like every week there's some sort of controversy. I think part of it is the advent of instant replay as far as college and professional televised games. But take last week's Gay City game. There were numerous calls that you and I were questioning and just scratching our head over it. At Union, we had no idea where the ball was going to be spotted after every play. When you sent me this question, I was thinking back last year to the girls' basketball. I wasn't at that last game, but wasn't there Sarah, the ball went out of bounds or something, and they let the clock roll out?
Yeah. Well, Sarah got it. They passed it around and got it inside to Jaden. Jaden there was about a little over a second left. She went up for the shot, got it knocked away, hit out of bounds. Which, and again, when you looked at it, the ball was basically on the ground with a second left on the clock, and it ran off. And the official said ball game and ran off as quick as. I mean, would
that sort of thing seems to be becoming more and more commonplace. I suspect a lot of it has to do with society's declining interest in sports. Ooh. Less interest in sports is equaling less interest in new officials. I don't know the answer, but I think there definitely is a problem.
A few weeks ago, I forget which coach was talking about it. That Science Hill is actually offering.
I do. I thought about that, offering a course.
In officiating, that's and they were talking about this today. I know, like on Mike and Mike and on the Dan Lebitard show, that there seems to be, in terms of the pros and the college level, there's either older that, and not to say anything mean, but just not as quick with following things, because again, as the athletes have gotten bigger and stronger and faster, or they're so young. They had someone they were interviewing. They said, that when he was a Big Ten official, and I forget his name, and I apologize about that. I should have been better prepared. But that it took him 3 or 4 years to catch up with the pro speed. The Big Ten back in the late 90s, they were power I or they were I formation 2 receivers. Everything was a slower game.
Well, that actually ties in with one of my later responses coming up.
You like how everything sort of flows.
Yeah. I've heard somebody talk, and my first thought was I was totally against what I'm about to say, but then the more I think about it, the more sense it makes.
That's a good fence line.
Baseball is a sport near and dear to my heart, and somebody had suggested or asked the question, why is every ball and strike not automatically reviewed by a computer? It seems to me it would not be a major deal to set up lasers around the strike zone, and if the ball hits the laser or is inside of it, bam, it's a strike. And the umpire could be sitting back there with a headset and just relay what the official word is. At first, I thought that's absolutely ridiculous and totally against the game, but then the more I think about it, I mean, it kind of makes sense, particularly with, like we were just talking about, all the mistakes that seem to be rearing up lately.
I don't know. Of course, there's been some caveat for that, going back and forth on whether there should be computers involved with, talking about it. And, of course, I was suggesting this morning they were talking about to have a sky official, a person up in the booth that would have, just like watching a football game, the angles and different things, sitting there watching just like we are. And if they see something, to go ahead and buzz and say, all right, that's, just like the calls against the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. I know that.
I don't know how much longer to extend the game, But like baseball, I would think it would be almost instantaneous.